when people come in and they're like feeling bad about something, like they stand in front of me at the farmer's market holding a plastic cup of coffee or iced coffee or whatever. And I will never point it out pretty much. And when they're like, I really don't do this very often. It was just today. I, I try never to make them feel bad because anything that everybody else is doing that they feel bad about could be anything. Could be using a nonstick cookware pan. It could be buying your daily coffee in a plastic lined paper cup, a plastic cup, etc. We've all done it. Every one of us have done it, right?
Yeah.
I've done all the bad things that we're teaching people not to do today. So we all live in the same world. We have the same lives. We've done it all. The question is, are you going to make a change? And change has such a big impact.
This is True Voice Unfiltered, the podcast where raw truth meets real transformation. I'm your host, Daria Ann, ghostwriter, content strategist, and holistic health warrior. No, I'm not a doctor, nurse, nutritionist, or any kind of medical professional, and this show does not dispense medical advice. I'm just an informed patient sharing what I've learned on my own healing journey. I also interview accomplished authors, speakers, entrepreneurs, and functional medicine practitioners who are transforming lives. If you're ready to break free from the sick care system, reclaim your health, and transform your life, you're in the right place. Let's get unfiltered.
Everyone, and welcome to episode 53. My guest today is Janette Spiezio of Sustainable Haus, and we are going to talk about all things clean as far as products, clean, eco-friendly, all the things I have talked about in previous episodes, talking about Hashimoto's and autoimmune conditions and how we really need to swap out chemicals in our household products, personal care products, the things that we use every day for cleaner products, because all of these chemically laden products are endocrine disruptors. And so that's one very big reason why we should gradually make the switch over to clean products. I'm going to talk to Janette today because she believes in making small changes. She doesn't believe in overwhelming people or shaming them into changing their habits. She believes empathy and trust are paramount, and that small changes add up to make a big difference. And as hard as it is to believe, she actually talks people out of purchases and gets them to focus on what they really need now. And if you've been listening to my podcast for a while, you know I've had previous guests on, like Michelle Stobart, who's an acupuncturist and Chinese medicine expert, and others like her who say that when they're working with their patients, they go slow and they give them one change at a time, like make this one lifestyle change this week, right? And then the next week, make this other change and gradually, right, change your habits for better health. And in this case, for sustainable living. So I love that philosophy because instead of being overwhelming, it makes it very easy to make these positive changes for your own health and also for the planet. Janette Spiezio is a contributor to Lead with Empathy, the latest book from best-selling author Chris Voss and founder of Sustainable Haus, one of the nation's largest independent refill and zero-waste retailers. After a 30-year corporate career, Janette built a nationally recognized business around a simple belief. Lasting change doesn't happen through fear, guilt, or perfection. It happens one small step at a time. Known for her anti-sales philosophy, Janette regularly talks customers out of purchases, teaches consumers how to avoid unnecessary spending, and focuses on building trust over transactions. Her practical approach has helped thousands of consumers make healthier, more sustainable choices while creating a thriving retail brand and loyal community. Janette is co-founder and co-chair of Beyond Plastics New Jersey, a climate reality leader, and a recognized voice on consumer behavior, sustainable commerce, plastics, greenwashing, and healthy living. Her work has been featured on NBC, Forbes, Fox News, and News 12 New Jersey. So without further delay, let's go talk to Janette Spiezio. Janette Spiezio, welcome to True Voice Unfiltered. I am very excited about our conversation today.
Me too.
So, Janette, I want to start out I read your bio in the introduction, but I would really like to start out by giving you an opportunity to tell the audience a little bit more about you and what led you to start Sustainable Haus Mercantile.
Sure. Well, let me just start by saying it's a pleasure to be here, Daria, and I really appreciate it. Okay. There I had no business plan. Let's just start with that. I was in corporate for 30 years and I'm a first generation American. And I just kind of always thought I'd do something more entrepreneurial. And after getting downsized, I wanted to understand what was in my laundry detergent. It was really that simple. And it was that hard too, because I couldn't understand what all those plant-based ingredients were. And it was before all the apps like Yuka and EWG and all that. And I just figured it would be easier to make it than to try to understand and research all the ingredients. So that's how it started. And I figured if I want a cleaner detergent, somebody else might want it too. And so I started out at a farmer's market and I started doing the things that I changed. So in my house, I wanted a better sponge. I wanted better wipes. I didn't want to do single use. I wanted to reduce my trash and my toxins. And so just one by one, I kept replacing things and making things. And I'm a seamstress and bringing things to market. And I knew I wanted a store. And I knew I wanted a store, a refill store, an eco store, all that. Um, at our core, we're non-toxic. Sustainable House is about um, healthy people, healthy home, healthy planet, and you can really put them in any order because it's all linked. And that's really where it started. And I found that people appreciated it, and I didn't want to be the store that had one deodorant option and one laundry detergent option. I wanted to have a broad enough array so that when you came in, if you weren't a powder girl and you wanted a liquid detergent, or if you didn't want a liquid and you wanted to have a powder shipped, or you wanted a bar, or you wanted to learn how to make it, that we could give you as many of those options as possible. And and there it was. Yeah.
Is amazing. So you just started by like researching ingredients and just kind of putting things together to create the laundry detergent or the shampoo, because you offer such a large line of products, which is amazing.
Yes. We have over 3,000 products.
Wow.
And, like, so one thing I make wipes, right? So these are, I can do a little show and tell.
Yes.
These are in place of paper towel. These are just
Oh,
two
wow.
varieties. But if you like the mustardy, organic look, you might not like the spring floral look. So, these are two items and we have 3,000 items on the website. Um, I just kind of like knew that if I kept putting one foot in front of the other, it would come together. And
Yeah.
I'm somebody who strongly believes don't take loans, you shouldn't be using borrowed money, don't don't take on too much, right? So every time I made
Right.
something and sold it, I put the profits right back into the business. And I just kept doing that. We then launched a storefront. The storefront came in the week that COVID happened. That's when we opened the storefront. So we've had our bumps, but you just
Yeah.
keep moving one step in front of another and you find that it just comes together. And you're the one who believes in yourself. So you've got to just keep believing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and what you're doing is so important because especially now we're just inundated with chemicals, and they're endocrine disrupting chemicals too. I mean, aside from all the other bad things they do for the environment and everything else. I mean, that's really, I mean, I kind of got on this track in 2002. I never made my own products, but that's when I discovered natural progesterone cream, which solved a lot of health problems I was having. But that same company at the time that manufactured that also got me on track with, like stop using Bath and Body Works. All right, I'm naming products here. I don't mean to name
That's
name brands,
okay.
but really it's anybody, right? That, I used to love that store, or I used to love scented candles. And that experience in 2002 and discovering that company at least got me on that track. And I've been, doing my best, at least using products that say they're clean, and doing my research as best as I can. But I was so thrilled to come across a small business owner like you, because I very much believe in supporting small business owners. And now that I know I can get these products from you, I'll be, switching where I'm buying these things. But it's just so important. And I've had other guests on too, and I mentioned this in my intro. For example, I had a Chinese medicine expert, and she also is an licensed acupuncturist. And she says, and it reminds me of what you just said, like when she works with a patient, she gives them like one thing at a time to incorporate into their lifestyle. She's like, I don't bombard people with everything at once because they're not going to do it, and it's overwhelming, and so start with this one thing, get used to that. After a couple of weeks, add this other lifestyle change and kind of fold things in. So it kind of reminded me of your philosophy in terms of your business.
I love that. And sometimes people will come in and they're, just dying to buy lots of different things. And I often say to people, just slow down. Like if you're already using a shampoo bar and you buy a new one, and that's you're already using that. That's good. But in terms of new things, try to only do a few at a time because you've got to incorporate it. And I know in my own life, it took me a long time to start certain things. Like it took me a long time to make sourdough bread, a long time to start making kombucha. And they were important to me because, like you, I don't want toxins in my life. And there's toxins everywhere. So there is no such thing as none.
Right.
I'm pretty sure in the store we don't have any endocrine disruptors. We work really hard to have everything be phthalate free, and we have a couple of scents that are not that are synthetic, but they don't have the phthalates, they don't have the EDCs, there's no Prop 65 warning, like they're carefully curated. And what I also find is you can go to the marketplace and you can research shampoo bars, right? You're going to get a list of probably 20 or more, and you can pick whichever one you want to try. We've curated a lot of that. So instead of having to try 10 bars over the course of 5 years, you can come in and get the one that we think is best and the one that customers keep coming back for. And you're going to have a pretty successful experience. And then you're sort of off to the races onto your next swap, as we like to call it. And we try to help you do that, whatever your goal is. And we have a lot of customers who come in with health issues, whether it's autoimmune disease, cancers, you name it, infertility. They're trying to do better in their life. And I think it's always you start with what you eat and drink. But the
Yes.
products, if you keep bringing in those toxic products and you don't even realize it, like you're kind of you're canceling out some of the other good work you're doing.
Yes.
So yeah.
People forget that the skin is the largest organ and what you put on your skin absorbs right into your body. And yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that. So I'm glad we're having this conversation now because it really truly does matter. And, as a Hashimoto's patient, I am just extra careful about everything I put on my skin, everything I put in my body. I always tell people, like, if you're at the store and you can't pronounce the ingredients in something, like, don't buy it. Stick with the perimeter. We all know that, when you're at the grocery store, like, stick with
Yeah.
real food.
Yeah.
However you're going to eat, whether it's vegetarian or keto, whatever, at least just eat real food because that's what your body needs. So I'm really glad to hear you say that. But I also love, Janette, that you're not into sort of shaming or overwhelming people. You say trust and empathy are the things that actually catalyze real change. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. We occasionally, and probably not even occasionally, on a regular basis, people will ask me like, "Oh, I think I need to replace this," and I'll say, "Really? You really need to replace that? Because I think it's just fine." And if you already have stuff that's good and working, keep using it. I think the place to change things is when you're using something that's toxic. Like people will say all the time that we have people come in and they're so proud to be reusing a plastic container for like the trillionth time, and I'm like,
No.
yeah, like it's just like the older it is, the worse it is. Like you got to get rid of it. And I think thrifting is a great way. This is a thrifted top. It is a linen top, right? Linen is one of the
Beautiful.
best fabrics we can get. And if I
Mhm.
can get linen and thrifted, that's like a double win. But if I was thrifting, I'm not going to buy Sheen because I know how toxic those products are and all the stuff that's in there. And as you said, we say this all the time, stuff that sits on your skin is absorbed. So make sure you're not putting the bad stuff on. So we do like for people to go slow, and we think that even slow has a huge impact. So I'll just give you an example. I love telling people this because it kind of makes them feel good. And I'll tell you one other, sorry, small point. When people come in and they're like feeling bad about something, like they stand in front of me at the farmer's market holding a plastic cup of coffee or iced coffee or
Yeah.
whatever. And I will never point it out pretty much. And when they're like, I really don't do this very often. It was just today. I, I try never to make them feel bad because anything that everybody else is doing that they feel bad about could be anything. Could be using a nonstick cookware pan. It could be buying your daily coffee in a plastic lined paper cup, a plastic cup, etc. We've all done it. Every one of us have done it, right?
Yeah.
I've done all the bad things that we're teaching people not to do today. So we all live in the same world. We have the same lives. We've done it all. The question is, are you going to make a change? And change has such a big impact. So I tell a little story in the book that I just co-authored about dip, right? So if you make a change to a shampoo bar and you love it because we're giving you a really good recommendation, you love it, you will tell 10 friends. And
Mhm.
the average person goes through 12 bottles of hair care in a year. So if we all have like 40 or 50 years of change, right? Some people are really young and they'll have many years. Some people are older and will have less. But on average, it's 40 or 50 years of change times 12 is 400 or 500 times 10 friends is somewhere in the 5,000 range, right? Your book club
Right.
friends, your sisters, your parents, your siblings, I said siblings, your children, but work co-workers, etc. So all these people are changing. And one day you all wake up and you're thinking, why am I buying my laundry detergent, my dish soap, my toothpaste in a plastic bottle? And you make a few more changes. And so that 5,000 number goes to like 15,000. So one change to a shampoo or conditioner bar can save 15,000 bottles. Now imagine if everybody did that. And if you did it in a way that you incorporate your shampoo, you get in the routine, you're set, you're good, then you move to the paper towel alternatives. And to be honest, one of the biggest things people tell me all the time is it's too expensive. And I can't stand that because it's really not. So yes, the spending is totally different. So on the paper towel alternatives that we sell, yeah, they're like $37. I know it's a little expensive for a dozen wipes, but this has saved me $3,500 over 10 years. I haven't bought a single paper towel. I went to the
Yeah.
farmer's market all through COVID, did not buy one paper towel. And my average was pretty high. I don't know, I had a husband who used a lot and we were going through them. And if you can make those kind of changes, you're going to save money. You and I both know that thrifting is going to save money. And if you buy a good quality piece of clothing, it's going to last you like
Right.
literally, I mean, just years and years and years. And when we learn to just live differently, it is always a big savings. My shampoo bar lasts me 8 months. My conditioner bar lasts me 2 years, which is just, the value in that is crazy.
Yeah. Now, talk to me about the shampoo bar for a second. So, because I've never used an actual shampoo bar. So, what do you lather it in your hands first? And then how does this work?
Well, you could do just about anything, but the
Yeah.
recommendation is you take a wet bar on your wet hair. So you take the wet bar and you just glide around
Oh,
and you glide like a hockey puck. You're not smashing it. Use very little product. And then you lather. Makes gorgeous lather. No problem. If you don't get enough, you can always glide a little more. You sort of find your routine,
mhm.
and then your hair is clean and you rinse. And then comes the conditioner bar. Wet bar, wet hair. It conditions what you touch. So you just sort of like work it through a tiny bit. It does not take a lot. You want to rinse it off your roots, keep it on your ends. Our dip bars are leave-in. So the leave-in the
Nice.
shampoo gets rinsed out, but the conditioner is left in, and it is just a luxurious feeling. If you've over shampooed and showered and you've done just too much water, you can put a little extra conditioner, just on your hands and then just kind of give yourself a top coating. But yeah, it's for all hair types, coily, curly, color treated, all the hairs.
That's amazing. That was going to be my next question. Like, do you have them for different hair types? Since,
So we have two brands, and we also have a liquid because we know that again one size doesn't fit all, and sometimes in your guest bathroom you might want a liquid for people who don't know what to do or how to use a bar. So we have liquid, which is our Oneka brand. We have both high bar and dip in the store. High bar is by type, like volumizing, moisturizing, etc. But dip
sure.
is by scent, and it's for all hair types. So, and we have team members and we have customers with coily hair, curly hair, thin hair, thick hair, any
Mhm.
color, bright purple or just, lots of bleach blonde, whatever it is. It works for all hair types, and it's got a little hole in the top of the box so you can smell the scent. And they're lovely.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And of course, the amount you use is going to depend on whether your hair is long, short, too, or how thick it is,
Yes.
like you just
Yeah.
mentioned. So, yeah, so that's amazing. And I did see that you offer also makeup and makeup brushes, which was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So, and do you have,
We
for all different skin types? Sorry.
we try.
Yeah.
Makeup, I'm probably a little low on inventory at the moment. We're just kind of restocking that. Makeup is one of the hardest things that we sell. Almost everything else, whether it's, personal care, cleaning products, laundry, we have a ton of cookware, bakeware, all that kind of stuff. But makeup is really hard because we tend to sell a kind of a narrow palette, and you always want to have a broad palette available. So it's we try to have stuff that is good for all skin types, tones, and all of that. And we've been kind of selectively bringing in different stuff. One of my favorites is Xology. They're these little crayons and sticks, all in like paper tubing with really nice ingredients, and they're just so much fun. So yeah, we try to have all of that.
You mentioned cookware, and several years ago, I got into like the glass containers, realizing, oh my gosh, okay, this is not good. I see people putting like hot food, like let's say leftovers from dinner, into these plastic containers, and I'm like, no, don't do that. So I have switched. Can we talk a little bit about why it's so important to use, glass containers or sustainable
Yeah.
products for when you're putting food away?
So I love that you focus on glass because that is my favorite and it's the best. Glass is non-reactive. You just want to make sure it's lead free, and glass is amazing. Um, So I'm also co-founder of Beyond Plastics New Jersey. We're changing the laws in New Jersey. We're part of the national organization Beyond Plastics, that was founded by Judith Enck, and she's amazing. So yeah, plastic. Plastic always does two things. It always leaches and off gases. So there is some chemical scent coming off and just permeating into your environment, whether it's air, water, food, etc. And then little bits of plastic are breaking off. That's the micro and nanoplastics. And the microplastics are really tiny pieces you can see. So I have a cutting board video where I'm showing like when you cut on a plastic cutting board, like the little bits of plastic that come off. Those are microplastics. When you kind of need a microscope to see them, they're the nanoplastics. And those nanoplastics are the ones that are going between our blood organ barrier. So you and me and everybody else that's listening, we all have plastic in pretty much all of our organs. And there aren't tons of studies, but there are more coming out. And if you haven't seen the movie Plastic Detox, I think it's a must watch for everybody high school age and above. Um, but we know, and we've known for many years, that hot plastic is even worse. So hot plastic tends to leach and create more of the plastic problem. So it's one thing to put room temperature things in plastic, like storing pencils in a pencil case or putting a sandwich in a container. It's a whole nother level when it's getting heated. There was a study done quite a number of years ago on babies fed with plastic bottles, and they ingest over 1 million micro and nanoplastics per day. And that's because babies eat on average eight plus times a day, right? They're fed all day long. That's number one. Number two, the milk is getting heated in plastic and then it's getting fed in plastic. So like everything is causing the heat is the heat and the frequency are causing so much more plastic to get released into the milk. So yeah, it's really it's really a big issue. And I really don't go out to eat very often. And when I do go out to eat, we usually sit in and we bring our bento containers, either glass or metal, and we put our leftovers in the glass or metal. So glass is better because it's non-reactive, but we recognize that when you're going out for lunch, when your kids are in daycare or school, or you're at the beach, glass is not always an option. Sometimes it's prohibited by wherever you're
Yeah.
at. There's a lot of reasons. So stainless steel is going to be your next best choice. And I'm not a fan of silicone. That's probably a whole nother conversation. And I'm a pragmatist. So I'm never going to say never. If you open my refrigerator, you will find pretty much all glass, tiny bit of metal, and pretty much the only plastic you will find in there are a couple of lids. We do a lot of bees wrap lids. We do a lot of cloth lids, a lot of glass lids, but we always have a couple of older items that have a plastic lid and they're kind of convenient. So I know that
Yeah.
I'm taking a risk when I do that, but it's kind of, we're trying
Yeah.
to be reasonable.
Yeah. Well, I think even with the glass containers I bought, the lids themselves are plastic. So there's only so much you can do. I think everybody needs to just do your best. And it's kind
Yes.
of sort of like an 80-20 rule. I try to make it more than 80, but I mean, just whatever you can control is
Yes.
good. And then beyond that, you're still way ahead of the game, even if you're just making these small changes,
Yes.
from the average person. But I mean, it's scary to me, like when you go to the supermarket, any supermarket, really, how many things are. I was there the other day and I was trying to find, sometimes I like sparkling water, right? Try to find it in a glass bottle. Like, good luck if you're at a supermarket. I was up and down this aisle. I just couldn't find it. Everything's plastic. And I don't drink, I don't drink soda, but I mean, sometimes I drink mostly water, but there's times when I want club soda just for a little sparkle. But I do remember like a million years ago, probably when I was a little kid, glass was like the norm. And then I guess plastics became cheap and more profitable. And then everything started getting sold in plastic. And I think people just accepted it.
Yeah, so that's crazy. So I think it really depends where you are, because at one point I remember saying to people, like, if you have the choice, which we generally have the choice, if you're buying your ketchup, don't buy it in the plastic, buy it in the glass option. And the last two times I've been to the grocery to look for ketchup, I can't find one in glass. Same grocery, same place, same aisle. They just don't have the glass option anymore because small makers are getting bought out, because products are changing, because small makers aren't being profitable in some of those big stores, and you can't find it. And I'm just like, OMG. So while I might go to my grocery and find sparkling water in glass, you might not. And it's just so dependent on where you are. And it's really hard. And that's the reason probably why both of us make so many of our own products in terms of food. And,
Yeah.
I make ketchup sometimes. I'll be honest, it's not nearly as good as the ketchup you get from the professionals that are making it in the grocery aisle, but
Right.
it's plastic free. And I will just say that in the store we sell a lot of lid options. We have cloth lids that are almost like a shower cap out of cotton,
Oh,
organic cotton, and they just go right on top of anything really, and they kind of like elasticize. They have an elastic band that holds them on. They come in different sizes. And beeswrap can also go on top. I could put a piece of beeswrap on here. The warmth of my hand would mold it on, and I could turn this glass of water upside down and it wouldn't leak. So,
wow. That's cool.
you're not going to shake it. You're not going to do that
Yeah.
for too long, but it is pretty tight. So, and then we do sell glass containers with glass lids. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, they
No, I
exist.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned something. I mean, it's really sad to me. So, and this is why I want to encourage people listening to support small retailers like you, because the saddest thing to me is, and I'm not going to name the name of the company, but there was a company that I used to buy their products. They made condiments and things like with clean ingredients. And then he sold out to, I think it was Kraft or one of those large companies. And the first thing they do when they buy somebody out is they slash costs. And that means cheaper
Awesome.
chemicals. They're not going to go out of their way to use clean ingredients, but yet they're still going to use the same label. So people think, if they didn't know that the company was bought out, they still think they're getting the same product that they were using before. And I mean, I could see both sides. I mean, I understand how hard it is for small business. So I'm not like shaming anyone for selling out. I just want people to be aware that that is what happens when these large corporations buy out a small business.
And it happens so frequently. And I
Yeah.
think a really great example that I think is totally worth talking about is Miyoko's. Her vegan butter and other products. She's
Mm-hmm.
been so candid about it on social media, and they actually kept her on. They ultimately ousted her. I mean, it's just this whole story, and the products just aren't as good anymore. And she's the first to talk about it. So I think we see that all the time, and you can't rely on, I found a great product and it's going to stay great. You have to really pay attention, which is, it's really sad. But
Yeah.
like you, I totally understand why people do it. I mean, we both know how hard it is to make something work in the real world as a business. And ultimately, I think when you've reached a level of success, if somebody wants to buy it, you're like, wow.
Yeah.
And you know they're giving you the promises, right? They're telling you the things you want to hear, and then it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like, let me talk about supplements for a moment, because I always tell people, do not go on Amazon and buy supplements because you don't know what you're getting,
Right.
and I would rather, I mean, I use Designs for Health, I use Dr. Amy's. I would rather I go directly to the manufacturer online, as I would do it with your store if I was going to buy something, and whatever. And most of them will offer free shipping, but even if they don't, like, how important is your health? And wouldn't you rather buy ingredients that are safe, that they followed good manufacturing processes, that it's coming directly from that manufacturer, there's nobody involved that's going to do something crazy? Because I've seen a lot of documentaries on YouTube about what happens
Yeah.
when they can recreate the same labels, so you think you're getting the supplement from this reputable company, when in fact the capsules are filled with rice or other things. I mean, I've seen this is the truth. And that is
Yeah.
why I tell everybody, go directly to the manufacturer when you're buying anything, and you're also supporting a small business in the process.
Yeah. So I agree with all that. We don't offer free shipping. We have sales throughout the year. We do
Yeah.
probably our biggest thing is 10% off, which isn't a lot, and we know it. But we keep our prices as low as we think we can effectively do it. So I was looking at another small store the other day, and they were talking about how they had reduced their price of laundry detergent. It was like this super exciting thing. And I went and looked, and they were starting from a point that was like twice the cost of ours. And I'm
Wow.
like, why would anybody pay? Like, it was just so mind-boggling to me. So our philosophy is one of everybody should be able to afford sustainability.
Yeah.
And yes, there's an initial outlay, and yes, you're paying for shipping, because those big companies that offer free shipping are only doing it because they mark their product up. So
Right.
we're not marking our product up because we recognize that we have so many local people and farmers market people and all of that, that we just don't want to raise the price on them, right? Like, why would we want
Exactly.
to harm them? So we try to keep it as low as possible. And so yes, everything is a la carte. There aren't big bundles. And yeah, that's kind of what it takes. And the worst is we don't even pay our team a living wage yet. We keep getting closer, we're getting bigger, we're getting closer, but it's it's hard for small businesses. So yeah.
Yeah, and that even more of a reason for everyone to support small businesses, because if everybody did that, then you guys would be thriving.
Yeah.
And
All of us are, yeah.
personally, and it's kind of a double-edged sword for me with Amazon as an independent publisher and ghostwriter. But unfortunately, like, they undercut smaller retailers. They're harming small bookstores. And I just think if everybody kind of changed their buying habits, I would personally rather pay the shipping, knowing that I'm getting good products. I mean, really, it's not that big of a deal. So
Yeah. And I think like you, I try not to do the big box stores,
yeah.
but um there's times you need it. So the book that I just had come out with Chris Voss, the only way to track bestseller status is through a platform, right? You can't just have a bunch of independents release stuff and hope that you're gonna,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we accept that there are times where you need some of those big vendors. And as a maker and as a store, I do rely on Amazon just a teeny tiny bit. I'll give you a great example. I buy all cotton thread so that my products are, the ones I make, are compostable. Very few people use only cotton thread. We take things to the extreme all the time. And the company that I buy the thread from sells on Amazon. It's their choice, right? They've chosen to do that. And I one time I called them and I was like, I want to buy from you directly. And they're like, oh, we don't care. I'm like, you don't care if I go from you or Amazon? They're like, we don't care. We're agnostic. You can buy it on Amazon or you can buy it from us. And I'm like, okay,
Huh.
well, so when they have they have an annual sale and I stock up on my thread. And if I need it in the off time and they don't care, I might just grab it from Amazon because I'm buying a gadget or a tool I might need, right? So I'm sitting to you from my little home studio, and I needed some lighting, and I don't know where you buy lighting if you're not going to one of the big box stores. So
Yeah, it's true. And again, I guess maybe to go back to the 80-20 rule again, like do your best to support small businesses. But yeah, I mean, and me too. I just bought a book from Amazon. I mean, I'm not saying that I never use it. So I think it's just more being more aware and intentional about where you're doing the majority of your spending. Because, one of the things that I thought was just saddest about that whole COVID era was that 10,000 small businesses went out of business. And it really bothers me to this day. And I was even deliberately back then just making a choice to focus most of my spending on small business owners. I mean, and just trying to support small businesses wherever I could to help them stay in business. So, because it was very unfair what happened to all those people. So anyway, Janette, I want to talk about, so you are a contributor. You contributed a chapter to Chris Voss's new book, Lead with Empathy. So what was that experience like? And tell us a little about the chapter. Oh my God, there it is. Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And there's one with me and Chris on the cover. I don't have it yet. My little picture's way down there.
Oh, yay, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. I mean, first of all, I haven't met Chris, but I've learned so much about leadership. And I mean, he's a rock star, right?
Yeah.
From being a top, like the absolute best FBI hostage negotiator, to founding Black Swan Group as a consulting organization, teaching at Harvard, all those things. But mine is really a chapter about a shampoo bar, and I had a ghostwriter. We all did, and that's what made the book kind of, coalesce. And there was a format that we followed, and I had the most amazing experience. I loved having a ghostwriter. I loved the process. We had to fill out these forms to start with, and I filled it out like exactly as asked. And I was like, I don't like my responses. There's no chapter here. This isn't something I want to talk about. And so I talked to my my person, and I was like, I'm struggling. It's just not making sense to me. Like, this is the story I want to tell. And they're like, oh my God. So I redid did the paperwork and kind of like re-put it together, and it was everything I wanted it to be. And my hope is that it helps inspire people. So the book in general inspires people to how to be better leaders and how to lead with empathy. It's exactly that. And I think you can do that, and be in the sustainability space. You can be somebody who helps inspire and motivate people. And that's what I'm hoping comes of it.
I love that. And I saw that the book is available on Amazon now as we record this. So that is a book that I'm going to be getting, because I definitely want to read that. And before we went on the air, I told you that Chris Voss wrote the foreword for one of my clients' books. And since I am a ghostwriter, I'm not going to say who it was on the air, but yeah, he's an amazing guy. And wow, what a privilege to be part of that. That is really cool. I'm happy to hear that you had a good experience with your ghostwriter too.
I absolutely did. And I really want to do more writing. So for me, it started with doing more in the blogging space. And I don't think I'm a particularly great writer at all, but I think I have a lot of ideas and a lot that I could share. And so I think there's going to be more to come, which is exciting.
That's awesome. And that's what a good ghostwriter does. I mean, because not everybody likes to write, not everybody wants to write, or maybe they're not good at it, but they have great experience. They have a wonderful story to share. And a good ghostwriter can kind of distill that information, keep your voice, and write it in an engaging way that's going to really, attract your readers.
Yeah.
And the people you're trying to reach. So that's amazing. I just think that's awesome. So I'm going to ask you this too. So you spent 30 years in corporate America before you launched your business. Did the skills you developed there and your experiences there kind of help you? Like, how did you transfer those skills into what you're doing now?
I mean, I think your whole life, like everything you've done so far in your life, builds you up for where you are today. And I think if your past was different, you would be different today. So I totally think it helped. I just learned an awful lot in my corporate years. I was a senior executive at Prudential Financial. I was in the compliance space. I ran our anti-corruption compliance program. I had teams around the globe. It was a great job, and I loved it. And I was happy to leave. In that, as a woman with a family and 2 kids and a house and friends and a social life and somebody who likes to garden and craft and sew and cook and all the things, you just get to a point where you kind of, maybe it's burnout, maybe you're just tired, you're just ready for a change. So I was so ready, and I always thought I'd be an entrepreneur, and I wanted a give back chapter. And for me, Sustainable House is a for-profit entity, and I really did that because I'd been on the board of a nonprofit that I loved, but I found that the fundraising was painful. Like I didn't have friends that wanted to spend lots of money and give a lot of money away, and I hated that part. And so I thought, I if I have a store and I'm doing something for profit, we can then it funds itself, right? You buy a product and then we can do more with that funding. So yeah, so that's kind of how it happened. And I learned so much in corporate, and I learned so much today about the thing I didn't learn in corporate was community. Um,
Yeah.
so that's probably the thing that I've learned the most.
Yeah, gosh, I feel the same way with my, yeah, because I think most of us spend our time in corporate first before we go on to go out on our own. And
Yeah,
yeah, I totally agree with everything. Yeah, it's very, yeah, I'm glad to be out of there. I mean, I'm happy for the experiences that I had, like you said, because everything shapes the person you are and who you become and the things that you do. But I'm also glad that that time for me is past now too. I can
yeah,
move on.
yeah,
That is so true. Now, before we got on this call, Janette, we discovered that we're both from Delaware County, Pennsylvania, which I think is amazing.
yeah.
Oh my God. And you
Delta.
had friends who went to the same high school I went to, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool. But you're the daughter of German immigrants,
Mhm.
and you're a mom, right, of 2 girls, I
Yes.
believe.
Yep.
So how did your upbringing and the values that you learned, like how have you transferred that to your children? Like how does that inform everything you do as a mom and a businesswoman?
Well, I just tried to lead the right kind of life. And it's interesting because I was sustainable when I was young. I got married. He wasn't really sustainable. So we were sort of somewhere probably in the very average space. And then I got divorced, and I started to focus a lot more on some of like my core values. And the kids just follow along. So when my youngest hit kindergarten, we started doing things like camping across the country and traveling, like really great vacations. Didn't spend a ton of money, but really cool things. We've been to all 50 states, most of the big national parks. My kids today camp and hike. My one daughter rock climbs. They both ski. They're out and about. That's because of the life that we showed them. I also, one of the things I did with the kids is we refinished furniture. We would drive around and everybody would find a piece on sort of dump days. And when my one daughter was in middle school, she informed me she wasn't going to drive around looking for garbage. That was just not her vibe. I said, that was fine. Nope, no pressure. And she said, but she wanted us to bring her a piece home. And I said, no, you can come or you can not come. It's entirely your choice. And ultimately, she came, and every single year we'd pull some pieces from other people's garbage and we would refinish them. And that same daughter, who was sort of having a moment, lives in LA, has her own place, and has furnished it with entirely used furniture except for like one new piece. And, she adjusts them. She makes changes. She's not afraid to get in there with a hammer and a screwdriver and a can of paint. So I think the life you lead is just what you teach your children. It's not about telling them what to do. It's leading by example, and having a level of empathy for them, and not forcing them to do things. So when I switched to the reusable paper towels, we were in a situation where we used a lot of paper ones, and I put the reusables next to the paper, and no one used the reusables except me. And then when that roll was done, I put a new roll on and put it in the upper cabinet and left the reusables on the lower counter. And the kids were like, what do we do? And I explained it, and they were fine with it. And now in each of their apartments, one lives in Dublin, one in LA, they don't have any paper towels. So,
Amazing.
like, and they weren't
Yeah.
forced. And I think that's the main thing to do. Like, lead by example, explain why you do things the way you do them, and get their buy-in. And when it came to vacations, like, we traveled, not so much vacationed, right? We got to see things and do things and experience things, and they had a say in it. Like, I might say, we could go here or there, or we could do this or that today. I always gave them options. If you didn't want to do something, you didn't have to do it, but it was an opportunity, and
Yeah.
that's how they took it. One of my daughters, we did a just over 2 weeks, we camped through the Alps. And the one was older and she didn't want to spend the whole time with us. She wanted some of her summer with her friends. And I said, okay, you don't have to stay the whole time. And she left a week early and didn't experience the whole of it. And it was a choice she made. So it's fine.
I love that. No, I love your whole philosophy, and it extends towards your business, because I do feel like sometimes when we care so much about something like the environment and like using sustainable products, I mean, some people can come across as like too harsh, I think. And I think, my mom used to say, you catch more bees with honey. That expression kind of came into my mind. It's like, you just small changes. And like you said, you were offering them choices. You can do this, or you can do that. Like, you can come or you can stay home.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's more a way of leading people. And of course, like you said, leading by example, by actually practicing the things that you talk about.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
Yeah. And you might feel this way, but I feel like deodorant's really important. It's a really important product to clean up, right? And occasionally we'll have mother-daughters come in, and the daughters are totally committed to clean ingredients, and they're bringing their moms along, and the mom's just like, I can't make that switch. And I'm like, well, we can't all make every switch. It's okay. Like, but when you're ready, and the daughter's like, no, you've got to make it. And I'm like, well, it is a really important one, but forcing people, it's not going to be a good win for them. They're going to have a predisposition to not enjoy the product, not embrace it, not do it right, and then they're going to have a bad experience. So the one thing we do tell people all the time is two things. Not every swap or change or product is for everyone. It's okay if you don't like something. That's normal in everyday life. We all buy products that don't work for us, our skin, our whatever, right?
Right.
And so, try different things, but not everything is for everyone. And okay, what was my second point going to be? It was we do our best, right? Like, so it might be that deodorant is just something you're not going to change. And
Right.
change it, just keep making other changes. And I think you and I probably both would agree that if you make all the other changes except deodorant, you are one day going to make that change, because you're going to be so knowledgeable that you just
Yes.
know you got to do it. So,
Yes, exactly. And I mean, and sometimes, and I don't know if this is true, like just speaking about hair color. Now, I use a product that is almost all organic. It's not 100%, but you know what? It doesn't bother my scalp like the other ones did. And it took me a while to find this particular brand, and I love it, and it works great. And so I'm going to keep doing that. So I kind of call that maybe my 20%, because it's like 90% natural, but I'm not going to drive myself crazy over the 10% that might be a little bit synthetic, because it doesn't, I have a very sensitive scalp and I can tolerate it. So there's give and take here as well.
so
Yeah.
I'll give you a great example. I went cold turkey and I stopped highlighting my hair, and I'm actually fine with it. But you know what I
It
do?
looks great.
I add the sparkle hair. And when you ask
Beautiful.
me what's it made of, the answer is it's plastic. So yes, I have plastic intentionally added to my hair. And I know that's like so like opposite, but there is a part of this that like you can't take all the joy out of life. You have to have some things that make you happy, and you do your research, you find the best things you can, and you're just like, I'm just gonna do that. So when the sparkle hair falls out, because occasionally a piece will dislodge, it just goes in the trash, right? Because it's not going to be something go in my compost. It's a plastic, and I pick it up. I don't leave it there, and life is imperfect.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, and it's what is it? Progress, not perfection. So if you can just, make these changes where you can, and the other ones, again, I could keep going back to that 80/20, because that's kind of how I judge things, and as long as I'm like 80% good. And it's really like, I mean, you could apply it to anything. I mean, there's certain things I won't compromise on, like supplements, because those are going in my body, like real food. again, because it's going in your body. But there's times, I mean, there have been times, right? I don't drink bottled water, right? But I forget where I was at one, you know, I don't know. I might have been at a walk or someplace. That's all they had was bottled water.
Right.
I forgot my water bottle at home. Okay, I was thirsty. I'm
Yeah.
going to drink the water, like, and I'm not going to like sweat over it. Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
sometimes you go to a country where the water isn't safe to drink, right? So there's always a reason that there's always a reason for an exception. And
yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. So Janette, I'm going to put everything in the show description, but give everybody kind of your website and where you are. I know you're in New Jersey, so for anybody who's listening that's close to you that actually wants to physically
Sure.
give us all the good information.
Yeah, so we're Sustainable Haus, Haus, it's spelled the German way, first generation, sustainablehaus.com for the website. We ship to all 50 states, including we support APO boxes, that's military. And if you're
Nice.
DPO or any of those other odd ones, we do it manually. So you just have to message us. But we do all that. And we ship throughout the US every single day. Anywhere between like 5 and 30 packages. So we are fully functional for that. We're located in Summit, New Jersey, and we're big on social media. So we have 125,000 followers on Instagram. We're on Facebook where we have, I don't know, 40,000, and we do all the stuff. And I put out videos every single day. And if you are looking for the learning, there's a message in every one. Like it's rarely just fun. Yesterday I did one that was mostly fun. We had in the store, we had a little thing where we got way too many suds in our laundry. It was a lot of shampoo cleanup spill. And I took out 5 buckets of suds to,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, like 5 gallon buckets. It was just crazy. But there was a lesson about plumbing in that, right? So there's always tips and tricks and learning how to be more sustainable. And we appreciate all our followers. I answer every DM, every comment. If I don't answer you, it's rare. I might have missed it. Just write again because I do answer every single one.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you might want to mention before we end today?
I will say that the book will be in the store, available on our website shortly. So if you don't want to buy from a big box store, we'll have that as well. And we appreciate everybody who's making changes. And I would say this, yes, I'm a store and I want people to shop with us. But if you have a local refill store, check it out because they're worth supporting. And if you just Google the words refill shop, you will find one locally, most likely.
Excellent. Well, Janette, thank you so much. And the book is called Lead with Empathy.
Yep.
And I'm very excited. I'm going to get my copy of that as well. And I really appreciate you. There it is. Beautiful cover. I love it. Very, very nice. And I just really appreciate you taking the time to educate us and tell us all about your products. Super excited. I mean, congratulations on everything you're doing. And I really just encourage everyone, support small business, whether it's Janette or like she said, other refill stores. Like we have to support our small businesses.
We do. And most of them are women owned, right? So we're just, we're supporting women, minority owned, LGBTQ, like the more that we can do to support each other instead of giving money to large corporations.
Yes. And get healthier in the process too. Yes. I mean, it's just a win all the way around. So yeah, I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for today's interview.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Dr. Liz. I just want to tell you how amazing and easy it was to work with Daria on my book. You see, I've had a book for a while, been sitting on my desk, sitting on my computer. Maybe you might be able to relate to that. And I didn't know what to do, how to take it to the next step, how to make it look polished and edited and easy and useful for my readers. Met with Daria. We had some great conversations. She learned my voice, my goal, my style, and she was able to edit and give me feedback on how to make my message clearer, more focused, polished, and it worked. I have a book. In fact, I have a book and a workbook that she's edited for me and guided me along the pathway. So if you're maybe a little bit like me, that you have a book or you have an idea and you haven't known where to take it, how to take it to the next stage, reach out to Daria. She's a game changer and she's really easy to work with and takes great pride in her work as well. So join me in the publish author arena. Reach out to Daria. I'm Dr. Liz.
Hi, this is Daria with True Voice Writing Services and host of True Voice Unfiltered. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you've had a book kind of rummaging around in your head or sitting in your computer and you're not sure what to do with it, reach out to me at truevoicewritingservices.com. I am a seasoned ghostwriter of multiple nonfiction books for professionals who want to use a book to position themselves as a thought leader and trusted guide to attract their ideal clients to them, expand their brand and influence, and open doors to speaking engagements, podcast appearances, and other avenues of success, whether it's real life in-person events and other things. I have been doing this now. I've been writing for longer than I'd like to admit, a few decades now professionally. I've been ghostwriting since 2010. I specialize in drawing out your unique voice and organizing your thoughts into a book that's going to attract your ideal audience. Because it's not enough to get your thoughts out on paper. You want to organize them properly. It's very, very important to structure a book properly, to write in your voice. And I have mastered that. Gosh, I think I've written about 20 books, ghostwritten about 20 books right now for various professionals, edited many, many more. And you may be surprised to know how many successful people hire ghostwriters. Have you ever wondered why or how so many busy, successful people can crank out so many books? Well, their secret is they hire a ghostwriter. I specialize in nonfiction books that are lead magnets to attract your clients, the people that you are most trying to reach. And these books work for you 24/7. They're an evergreen brand asset that works for you while you're sleeping. And before you ever even meet with that person or speak with them over Zoom or over the phone, they've already gotten to know you. They already see that you are the knowledgeable expert that they need. So if you want to find out more about how this works, ghostwriting or editing, if you have a manuscript and it needs some polish, I also put these manuscripts into a nonfiction template created by my friend Michelle Culp. We work together. We have these all-inclusive packages that include ghostwriting and editing, Amazon optimized keywords for your title and subtitle. We help you with your ISBN, your KDP setup, professional interior formatting for the book, professional cover design from a real person, not AI. We have a real designer that we work with, and a 2-day book launch. So if that is interesting to you, if you'd like to learn more about it, please go to my website, truevoicewritingservices.com, click on contact, schedule your free, no obligation, 30-minute consultation where we can discuss your project further. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope to talk to you soon.